Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get started. Aaron, whenever you're ready.
Council members, before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping notes. One, I want to acknowledge that we made a revision to the agenda yesterday afternoon. We were having issues sending it out via email. So thank you to our PIO for getting it posted on social media last night, but just wanted to acknowledge that. We need to suspend the rules to add the 2 items to the agenda that were part of the revised agenda, but we can do that after I call roll, okay?
Thank you.
Councilmember Green, present. Councilmember Morell, present. Councilmember Moreno, present. Councilmember King, present. We have a quorum.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to add the items to the agenda.
Second.
And the technology issues continue. We are having some issues with our voting machines. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
All right, first up, we have the approval of the minutes from our previous joint meeting. I will move for approval. Second by Chairman Moreno. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. First item, Ms. Spears.
The first item establishes an amendment to the procedural schedule for Chapter 158's docket. That's docket UD 2501. This is a simple amendment to ensure that parties understand that they are also available to submit red lines on the draft code chapter and the utilities regulatory manual that was submitted by the advisors last week. So it's just a clarifying amendment.
Okay, do we have any cards on any of this? Okay, no cards. I will move to adopt the resolution. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Green. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it is adopted.
Can you read item 4 and then I'll discuss it, Aaron?
Sure. Item 4 is a resolution regarding the Renewable and Clean Portfolio Standard. The committee will consider a resolution regarding Entergy's compliance demonstration report regarding the achievements related to the RCPS for the prior year and the upcoming calendar year. This is UD 1901.
Thank you, Aaron. As you all may recall, for the Renewable Clean Portfolio Standard, which we passed back in 2021, part of the requirements include providing an annual report about whether or not Entergy is actually meeting the targets. And what we found is that this report for 2024 has Entergy with 68% now of Entergy's retail compliances load generated with renewable resources. So the resolution finds that Entergy New Orleans is in compliance with RCPS for 2024. Are there any cards for this one, Aaron? No cards? Any questions? Seeing none? All right, I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No objection. Sorry, it's annoying because these machines aren't working. Can you read number 4, Aaron?
Sure. The committee will consider a
Number 5,
resolution.
sorry.
The committee will consider a resolution to establish a procedural schedule for Entergy New Orleans RCPS compliance plan for years 2026 through 2028. This is also docket UD 1901.
Right, and this allows for parties to comment on E&O's compliance plan for 2026 through 2028. There are no cards and no comments. I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor? Aye. 4 yeas, no nays.
Council members, up next are the Rule 57 contracts. I believe representatives from ITI are here to present.
Good morning, Council
Good morning.
members. I'm LaShonda Mindy with the Office of Information Technology and Innovation, and we are here to request for an extension of 3 contracts. So the first one is for the Global Solutions Group contract. They provide cybersecurity technology services to us. We utilize this contract to purchase all of the cybersecurity tools we use to ensure that the city's network remains safe from cyber threats. This will be an extension for an additional 12 months, and we will be adding $1 million to that contract to cover the cost, the increase in cost of services.
Okay, thanks.
Do I keep going? Okay, contract number 2 is between the city and AT&T Enterprises. The city utilizes this contract to purchase voice and data services from AT&T to provide internet capability and voice services for the city of New Orleans. So we will extend that contract for an additional 12 months, and the amount is not to exceed $2.25 million. The third and final contract is between the city and Presidio Network Solutions. We use Presidio to procure Cisco-branded network technology solutions, including firewalls, firewall management capabilities, and that is to maintain the traffic for the city services as well. And that will be an additional 12-month term.
Any questions? You
No?
have a question?
I have a question.
You go ahead.
I have a question. I feel that in this era or this time period of great sensitivity relative to the city's budget and also the potential for a deficit, that when there's going to be an increase, I'm going to ask often for an explanation of the reason for the increase in services, so it's $1 million, and what additional services are going to be provided to taxpayers based on this increase. For number one, for 8.
So, so we're not asking for so the contract, the way it's written, is for a certain amount of dollars each year.
Right.
So we need to procure that amount. It wasn't like a lifetime. And correct me if I'm wrong. It isn't a lifetime. So each year we have to say, we're going to spend this $1 million on this. So we're not adding any new services outside of what we currently already have. There may be a little fluctuation in the price here and there, but we're not adding $1 million worth of more services. We're basically saying we need another $1 million on this contract to be able to procure the services we already have.
So you're saying that this is not an increase of $1
No.
million, this is a simply expenditure, but it happens to total $1 million? Is that why you brought it up? Explain to me why you brought up the number if it's just basically a standard situation.
To my understanding, Councilmember Green, the way the contract is written is there's an annual amount, and each year we have to request that annual amount. So some of our contracts have a year-long total, a contract maximum, but this particular one says we can't exceed $1 million per year. So when we write the amendments, we're saying we're not going to exceed $1 million each year, if I'm
Okay, no, that's
explaining
fine.
it correctly.
So it's not really an increase, it's basically the $1 million that you need to effectuate this contract for
Yes.
yet another 12-month period.
Yes, sir.
That's
We're
fine.
not increasing
Yeah,
the
we're-
lifetime maximum.
Yes, sir.
It's just important to recognize that when the word increase is going to be used, that there are going to be
Understand.
questions asked, especially during this time frame, where even I, as a council member, can't figure out if we're in firm financial standing or if we have some real issues. So
No,
I'm going to
so-
ask that question often.
I'm sorry if I didn't explain that correctly.
Okay.
Any more questions? Seeing none? All right, if there's no objection, item number 6, I'll move forward to the council, the full
Second.
council, seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, no objection.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for coming this morning.
Item 7.
I'll go ahead and read it in, Aaron, for you, since you're coming to the table. Number 7 is the item that we added under suspension to the agenda. It's discussion on council RFQ/RFP about a distributed energy resource advisor. The reason why I wanted Aaron to come and talk about the consultants for this is because this is a really important docket that we are moving forward with, that I am committed to get done before I finish out my term on the city council. It is a major priority for me. And what DER is, it's really what we're trying to move forward with is creating in the city of New Orleans what we like to call a virtual power plant. And it's really expanding the scope of microgrids throughout the city of New Orleans, which is, of course, solar panels and a battery, where we are generating this level of power production now that we can actually put back into the grid. That's how it turns out to be kind of a virtual power plant. But hiring the right consultant to get us through this process is really important, because this is really something new. This is something new, and we need experts to really help guide us to make sure that we develop this program correctly and get it off the ground right, with as few mistakes as possible. So with that, Aaron, I know that obviously you have been reviewing all of the different proposals that were submitted by the different consultant groups. I think it's important for people to understand, who our Curo office viewed as having really the most expertise around this particular type of endeavor, and for you to present that to the public as the council then, further moves to take a look at all of the different proposals and then makes its decision on the consultant in our meeting, not this week, because obviously we didn't make the agenda deadline, but our meeting 2 weeks after that, which I believe is like what, the 25th?
25th.
The 25th, got it. So with that, Aaron, I'll turn it over to you.
Councilmember, you always steal my talking points. No, thank you. Good morning, everybody. As Councilmember Moreno stated, this is just a status update on where we are on the selection review process for a DER advisor. I know there's a little bit of confusion around how the council makes selections for professional services agreements, so we also thought this would be a good time to just illuminate that process. So to give you some background on this RFP, sorry, one of my slides appears to have skipped. Anyway, I'll give you a little oral background. So docket UD 2402 is your DER docket. The council did this with the goal, as Councilmember Moreno stated, of establishing a vendor-neutral program for DER and VPP throughout the city. But it was a long procedural schedule. We started it last October. It's scheduled to conclude next month. And as we were proceeding through that procedural schedule, we realized, as Councilmember Moreno stated, we need an advisor and a consultant once we have a program in place to make sure that that program is successful, to make sure all the guardrails are in place. So we need somebody with that experience already to troubleshoot and to ensure that New Orleans, once again, is leading in this field. So now, the background on the RFP. So we issued this RFP over the summer. I want to acknowledge that we had 8 respondents. It was, you guys have been through this where we issue an RFQ, no response. We issue another RFQ, no response. We issue another RFQ and we get 1 respondent. So we had an embarrassment of riches in response to this procurement. The advisor, when selected, is going to be responsible, as I mentioned, for developing a comprehensive DER program. So that's batteries, that's storage, that's microgrids, that's the VPP. They need to be able to collaborate with stakeholders. This has been a process with stakeholders and advocates actively engaged every step of the way, guiding what they want to see for their community. And we want to make sure that this advisor also shares that connection to the community and to the stakeholder groups. They also need to advise the council, i.e. advisors, and coordinate with Entergy, because at the end of the day, we need to do this as a partnership amongst all of us. So with that, we had evaluation criteria. Have you done this before? What did that look like? Was it successful? Do you have enough coverage with your team to meet the demands of the council? We meet a lot. We have a lot of technical conferences. We have community engagement meetings. We have council meetings, committee meetings. Are you able to meet that? And also, can we do it without raising bills too much? Can we keep the costs in line with our other advisors and make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck? And then last but certainly not least, have you made a good faith effort to meet any DBE requirements, to get DBE and or local participation? Because we want to make sure that we're building our brain capital here in New Orleans. So with that, we went from 8 to 2. And so our 2 finalists, for lack of a better term, are Apex Analytics, who have partnered with Emergent Grid Solutions, and Rebalance Energy, who have partnered with MG3 Energy. As you can see, this is going to be a tough decision ultimately for you all. Each candidate has more than 20 years' experience. Each candidate has demonstrable experience in this space, developing VPPs, microgrids, energy plus storage, and DBE participation. Also, they've agreed to accept a not to exceed cost provision within their contract, which is also important for budgeting and making sure that we're keeping costs in check, and their fees are in line with our other technical advisors. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I know that we have received several letters of support for Apex and for Current. Can you kind of give us an overview of Current as well? I know they were not listed as one of these two finalists, but it'd just be helpful.
You know, it's growing up, my dad used to say, you didn't lose, they just won.
Right.
That's the situation with Current. They didn't lose. Apex, with their combination of experience and local participation, just sort of edged them a little further. Same thing with Rebalance and MG3.
Okay. And I know that there was some concern. I don't think Current had a DBE participation issue, and I know that the council, we have a challenge in that we constantly call out the administration for not doing DB participation. And I think it's important to note that these are the finalists for this specific contract, but in that embarrassment of riches, in those 8 groups that applied, the hope certainly, since it was an RFP, RFQ, is that those groups could be reconsidered for future work that we'd have on this docket.
You know, if for some reason it doesn't work out in the contracting process with these groups, those other 6 groups were still deemed eligible to meet the needs of this contract and these services. So, you know, we're lucky. And also, if a similar need comes up that falls under the scope of this RFQ, we can pull from the bench, assuming they want to work with us.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Anything else?
No, just whatever we did for this particular RFP, RFQ, as far as finding the consultants, I mean, oh my gosh, the level of response we got was really tremendous.
And council members, I think a lot of that were our advocate groups who have been
Yes.
involved in this process, getting
Yes.
the word out, saying, hey, this RFQ is out there. We didn't do anything different in terms of
Yeah.
publishing, but the advocate groups really did an excellent job of making sure that the people who needed to know about this knew about this.
Hey, advocate groups, I won't be on the council next year. But we're going to need you moving forward to keep doing this as obviously the advisor contracts continue, just so that there is a larger selection. Speaking of the advocate groups, let me bring up Jesse George from the Alliance for Affordable Energy, and that'll be followed by Natalie Jordy with Together New Orleans. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. Jesse George on behalf of the Alliance for Affordable Energy. Just want to say we're very pleased to see the council seeking out this sort of subject matter expertise on this docket. It's something that we hope that you will continue to do in other dockets in the future. We don't have any specific recommendations as far as who to select. We just hope that you will select someone with real-world experience, and it looks like the 2 finalists both have that. So we're looking forward to moving forward with this docket. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Natalie, come on up, followed by Troy Von Odevat. I may have pronounced it wrong, I'm sorry. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Natalie Jordy. And first of all, I just want to also take a moment to celebrate that 8 companies applied to this RFP. I'm so thrilled by this, and I think it really shows that experts around the country see New Orleans as a place where the future of the grid is being written. They're excited by this docket, which marries, on the one hand, the resilience that batteries provide when the grid is down, to, on the other hand, the grid stabilizing services that they provide on every other day of the year. I really appreciate your willingness to seek specialized counsel on this docket, and I want to urge you to pick an advisor who has actual implementation experience. There are VPP programs all over the country. This idea is not novel, but what is going to separate the good from the great is how well they're implemented. So let's pick someone who can build on lessons they've learned by actually doing the job. I also appreciate that you issued this flexibly as both an RFQ and an RFP. The caliber of several of the applicants is so high that even if you only hire 1 advisor on this docket right now, I think you should qualify, as you said, everyone you think is good, so that they're on deck for the future. Our grid is facing so many challenges that we really need folks who can help us design a 21st century grid that delivers resilience, affordability, and equity. And I think we should take advantage of this surge of enthusiasm to ensure that we have the expertise that we need for the future. So again, I'm grateful to you for taking the initiative to get the help our city needs to make this docket a success. And I hope you prioritize a candidate who has successfully stood up VPP programs elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Troy, and then please come and pronounce your last name for me so I don't get it wrong. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't think you remember me, but we met through Camille Whitworth years ago when
Nice
you were at
to see you.
WDSU.
Nice to see you.
Pleasure to see you, Chairman. I am a renewable energy developer, for those of you that don't remember me. Hello, Councilman Green.
There, how you doing, Troy?
I started the solar energy industry in New Orleans in 2008. I formed the first company here called South Coast Solar and really led the development of the entire renewable energy industry in Louisiana for several years. So I'm here speaking on behalf of this really important decision-making that's going on by analyzing these last two potential DER consultants. I prepared a little short statement. I'd like to read it, please. So we've been following docket UD 2402 closely, and we believe that the advisors you select for this proceeding will shape whether New Orleans becomes a national leader in distributed energy and community solar, or whether we continue to fall behind our peers. The fact that 8 firms applied shows that national experts see New Orleans as a proving ground for the future of resilience and clean energy in the city. This makes your choice even more important. We urge you to select advisors with both technical depth, a proven track record of standing up successful VPPs elsewhere, and local understanding of the community. 2 firms stand out to us at GSRIA. We believe that Apex Analytics, which built the Connected Solutions program in the Northeast, that grew from a pilot to over 400 megawatts, has the most hands-on experience in the group and actually having built one of the most successful VPPs in the country. And we believe that Current Energy Group, which has led virtual power plant development programs in Hawaii and Connecticut, is also strong on rate design, DER-MS integration, and cost recovery so that DER programs are fair and durable. We think you should qualify them both so their expertise can be drawn upon in the future. With the right.
Thank you. That's your time. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, well, that is all that we have for public comment. Aaron, thank you for your presentation. And as we mentioned, the council will make their decision on this and bring it to the full council on the 25th.
Yeah, before we go, I want to take a moment of personal privilege. There was a story, I believe it was last week, about a poll that was done by Entergy regarding the mayor's race and council races, as well as kind of this very overt effort in this push poll to push the idea of resilience. And I want to comment on this because I've commented on this previously. This was an effort to resuscitate their gridiron plan. The city council gave full consideration to Entergy's request to spend over $1 billion on the gridiron plan, and after detailed analysis and advocacy groups and consultants and talking with different people, we realized 2 important things. One, it was an ambitious plan that was presented to the public with a blank check where we would be on the hook for $1 billion, if not more, in financing from Entergy to both stand up resilience and reliability. And rather than follow what LPC did and give Entergy a blank check at ratepayers' expense, the council chose to go in a different direction. We chose to develop a resilience plan that we could pay for up front, because I want to remind everyone, the true profit of utility companies is financing deals, where when you borrow $1, you pay back $3. And so the gridiron plan was really an effort by Entergy to once again convince the public to do a payday loan where we would, in the terror after Ida, buy into fear mongering to get a payday loan on many things we did not need and put us on the hook like we are for the gas plant in New Orleans East. We'll be paying off that plant till well after 2050. The council, the advocates, and the public rejected that because we did not want to give Energy New Orleans another payday loan. I encourage people that when you have these very weird, unsolicited polls come with push information about you need to be scared about resilience, conflate energy and sewage and water board, both issues that are problems but not similar, you should always listen for the thing they leave out, which is that this is going to raise your rates and generate profit for Energy New Orleans. Because when they're telling you on this poll, do you want more resilience? We all want more resilience. We all want a hardened grid, but when they tell you that and don't tell you how much it will cost you, when they don't tell you that they want to finance the grid off of your back, be very wary. Because if a deal, if an idea is worth doing, it'll be done in this council chamber and you will have all the facts to consider it. Do not let them mislead you, just like they previously did. Just because they call it Operation Gridiron does not mean it's a positive football thing with the Saints. It was an effort to get a blank check to get us into another payday loan, and we turned that down, and we still turn it down. Thank you.
And I think that one thing too, Council President, that I think is important to mention is that as we move forward already, more than $200 million worth of projects, which I believe are important projects to harden our grid, we were very careful and meticulous to ensure that we did not put this more than $200 million worth of projects all on the backs of ratepayers. And we were able to do that due to settlement dollars that we had from Grand Gulf and Siri. We were also able to do it because of federal grants that we received. So moving forward, as you know, the council considers the remainder of these projects, that has to be first and foremost as well. What is being done, what out-of-the-box solutions are being done to make sure that these future projects don't go, to your point, all on the backs of ratepayers. The other piece too is that as we move forward for grid hardening, we have to also constantly consider that there are projects that can be done beyond Entergy, which is exactly what we're doing with our virtual power plant initiative, which once again, that initiative also not going on the backs of ratepayers because we're building that initiative through, once again, settlement dollars that we received. So as the next council moves forward with, hardening our grid, which is important, no doubt about it, the cost mitigation piece has to be first and foremost. It can't, and while the easy path is just to, approve and put it on the backs of ratepayers, there's always another way. It's often trickier, but there's another way to make sure that ultimately our people here in our city already dealing with affordability issues aren't burdened even further. Thank you.
With that, I'll move adjournment. Any objection? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
If we were doing price right, we would go long.